If gaslighting is present in my marriage, how does that factor into my stay or go decision? Hey, I'm Sharon Pope. I am the love and relationship coach for women who are seeking the confidence and clarity that they need to know whether they can fix their struggling and disconnected marriage, or to know if their only answer is to move forward and do so without regret. So today, what we're going to be talking about is gaslighting, and it's no joke. So I want to dive into this with you. This is not going to be a conversation about whether or not you're in a gaslighting relationship. There are tons of articles and videos about that to identify it. This is to really get a handle on what it means when you have identified that gaslighting is present. If this is helpful for you and you like what you hear, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. My name is Sharon Pope. I'm a master life coach as well as a 7-time best-selling author on love and relationships. I help women and occasionally a few brave men get the clarity they need to either fix their struggling and disconnected marriage or move forward without regret. In my mind, there is no wrong decision except not making a decision and remaining stuck. I will help you get to your answer for your heart, your marriage, and your life. So this week, what we're talking about is gaslighting inside of your marriage. And this is for women when they know that gaslighting is present. So first, let's talk about what gaslighting is in case you're not aware or you just want to really know the definition. So Psychology Today tells us that gaslighting is a form of persistent manipulation and brainwashing that causes the victim to doubt her or himself and to ultimately lose their own sense of perception, identity, and self-worth. The term is derived from a 1944 film called Gaslight, in which a husband tries to convince his wife that she's insane by causing her to question herself and her reality. So when a new client comes to me, I can get a sense for whether or not gaslighting is present in their relationship, and here's what it often looks like. She doubts herself at every turn. She lacks confidence. Emotionally, she's the equivalent of being curled up in the fetal position. She doesn't have a strong sense of self, and maybe she once did, but she doesn't anymore. And so therefore, she gets her identity defined by something outside of herself, and more than likely, it is through the eyes of the person that is doing the gaslighting. And so this is why it's so debilitating. This isn't just a bad behavior or hurtful behavior, although it is that. It's more than that. This is debilitating not just to the relationship, it's debilitating to you, the recipient of that gaslighting behavior. It can help you, it can make you lose all sense of self. It can take the strongest of people and over time, so subtly, turn you into the person that is curled up on the fetal position on the couch and not knowing how to move forward. So it's incredibly debilitating. So the person who is practicing gaslighting, they're not really interested in talking about an issue and trying to come up with a solution to that. What they're interested in is offloading any responsibility for any of the issues that are going on in their lives that they're not happy with. So they have circumstances in their lives that aren't going the way that they want, and what they're going to do is they're going to lay that blame right there at your feet. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to pick it up. That's the problem. They can lay it there, but if you pick it up and now carry it for the rest of your life, that's going to impact you. So that person always needs to be in the role of, I would call it the victim role, as if all these bad things are happening and it's someone else's fault. That to me is playing the victim, but they wouldn't see themselves as the victim. They would see themselves as the more powerful person. Now, you might have heard me say, I think every human being on the planet is really just trying to get their needs met at a very, very basic level. We're all just trying to get our needs met. But using psychological manipulation to get your needs met at the expense of someone else, no. Like, that's not okay. So Again, this isn't a video about am I or am I not in a gaslighting relationship. If this is happening in your relationship and you're aware of it, I want to start sounding the alarm bells about it. Because sometimes I think once we put a label on something like, oh, we call this gaslighting, and then we come to normalize it almost in our brains that, well, everyone deals with this to some degree, or, it's not really that often, or a little bit of it is okay. It's not. This is not okay. This is, if you go back to the definition, psychological manipulation. This is not okay. So my purpose of creating this video is so that if it's present for you, that you really start taking this seriously. So then your next question might be, okay, well, will this ever change? So now I'm aware of it. I understand it's serious. Will it ever change? So let's talk about why people change. Nobody changes because you want them to, first of all. Nobody wakes up on a random Tuesday and has this epiphany that, oh my goodness, I've been doing this thing called gaslighting, and it's incredibly destructive to my partner who I love. And so I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do it differently. That's not going to happen either. The third thing I will tell you is that you can't change anything that you're not willing to see. And most people who gaslight cannot see that they're doing it. They actually don't even see that there's anything wrong with it. They feel completely justified in their experience and this way of getting their needs met. They don't see anything wrong with it. So if they can't articulate it, they're not going to change it. So let me be super clear and blunt here. If someone is gaslighting and they don't recognize that they're doing it, if they can't say the words like, oh my gosh, I've realized that I've been gaslighting and that's not who I want to be, and then they take the action to be in a psychotherapist's office every week for several years working on this one issue and unwinding what has created it for them and helping them to get tools to learn to be in relationship differently and get their needs met differently, it's not changing. And so I don't know what the percentage of people are that would do that. Gaslighters that are willing to acknowledge it and then do the work to really unwind it. But it's not reading a book and it's not watching a YouTube video. That is not going to solve it. Like, this is really serious stuff, and it is habitual behavior. He or she would need to create new habits. They would need to unlearn what they learned and then create new habits. So that's why I say a psychotherapist's office every week for years. That's what would be required. So if they're not willing to do any of that, do not lie to yourself that, oh, maybe he won't do it for long, or maybe this will change. I mean, things have been going pretty well so far. That feels very fragile to me, and that could break at any moment. So what I wanted to accomplish with this video for you was to really just start sounding the alarms. If you're aware that gaslighting is present, you got to tell yourself the truth about that and about what that relationship can and cannot ever be, and then make some real choices for yourself about whether or not you're willing to live with that. Okay? If that was helpful to you, and I hope that it was, I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. If you want to know when I post a new video, all you have to do is hit the red bell in the upper right corner. And if you want to explore working with me directly as a private client, there is an application in the notes field below this video. Take good care.